Okay, you'll never be able to convince me that this movie wasn't made in a lab with scientists whose job it is to just pump out January movies, because I mean, we got a one-word title, Gerard Butler, Navy SEALs, disaster scenario. We're ticking all the boxes here, ladies and gentlemen, but the one thing that wasn't accounted for with this movie, it kind of works. What's up, guys? I'm Sully Streams, and it's my job today to let you know if this is a plane worth buying a boarding pass for. You probably know everything you need to about this movie just by seeing who's in it in that hilarious one-word title, but in case you don't know, it's about a dishonored pilot who's played by Gerard Butler. He's kind of stuck flying the Singapore routes from now on, and on his New Year's Eve flight, when he's trying to get back home to his family, the police tell him that he's actually going to be transporting a prisoner on that particular flight. And wouldn't you know, during the early stages of their flight, they hit some terrible weather, and they're forced to make a crash landing on a small island in the Philippines, but this island is bad news. I mean, there's no police activity, there's pretty much no government, it's just run by the militia, so it's up to the pilot and the prisoner to save all of the passengers and get the hell out of there in one piece. I'll never forget it. I was at an early screening for The Menu with one of my buddies, and this trailer started to play, and he was like, "Hey, do you know anything about this movie?" And I'm like, "No, I actually haven't heard of it at all." And what we proceeded to see was one of the most generic, schlocky looking action movies that looked like it was like 2 decades past its expiration date. And when the trailer ended and that title card came up, Plane, when I tell you my theater erupted, we were dying laughing. It was probably the most funny title card reveal I've ever seen in a trailer before. And is that one-word title, Plane, ridiculous and generic? Yes. But does it also mean that this movie knows exactly what it's trying to be from the get-go? Also, yes. If you're a little bit hesitant to check this one out, I totally understand. I mean, I was too. This thing has red flags sprouting all over it from every which angle. None more important than the fact that this thing is coming out in January. Everybody knows that for movies, January is a minefield. It's a graveyard. Big studios release these projects that they don't have a lot of faith in and they don't think are going to get a lot of money at the box office into theaters just because it's slim pickings and they're hoping moviegoers will just be like, I don't know, we got nothing else to do. You want to check out Plane? And this movie ended up being way more solid than I thought it was going to be at the end of the day. Like, sure, you could put your film school hat on and just go down the list, checking off the boxes of everything that was generic and sucked about this movie, probably end up giving it like a negative 80 out of 10. But when I go to a B-movie action thriller like this one and sit down in my seat with my popcorn and my soda, what I'm looking for is a much simpler form of entertainment. I'm looking for cheesy one-liners, I'm looking for interesting violence, and I'm looking for intense action sequences. And surprisingly enough, I don't know how they did it, Plane pretty much delivers on all of those fronts. And going back to the actual movie theater experience for a second, this one is obviously at its best when it's on the big screen with a packed crowd in the actual theater. I mean, if this thing was a straight to streaming release, I don't know if it would have hit the same. Like, this one really shows you its strengths when it's played big and loud. And when we talk about the strengths of this movie, obviously the biggest one there is, the whole driving force of this movie is that duo of Gerard Butler and Mike Colter. They do some badass stuff in this movie. They play off of each other really well. They even have a little bit of a macho bromance by the time this film ends. I do wish we got even more Mike Colter. I think the film would have benefited from letting him run a little bit more wild, but I'm still happy from what we got. One thing I really like about this movie that I think a lot of recent action films do very wrong is our main character is not some unkillable badass. I mean, Gerard Butler is a pilot. He's not a martial artist. So naturally, when he's met with conflict and combat, he gets his shit kicked in a lot and he gets down and dirty. It really makes this whole situation feel more desperate and you're in it more. It's more intense. But if that's actually something you like in action movies, that's why they give us the other part of this duo in Mike Colter. Like, he's the badass prisoner that was army trained. He knows his way around a gun. He's out there going God mode and just kicking ass the entire runtime of this movie. And the action scenes here are surprisingly solid for what they are. I mean, the director here did the remake of Assault on Precinct 13, so you know the action sequences here are probably going to be pretty decent. But yeah, I mean, if you're just looking for some rough hand-to-hand combat and a guy shooting donut-sized holes into other people with a Barrett 50 cal sniper rifle, I mean, I don't know if you're gonna get that experience anywhere else in January than with Plane. I don't think I'm ever gonna watch this movie again. I just don't think I'll ever have the desire to sit down and do it, because like I said, this is just such a generic action movie that even though some of it works, I'm gonna watch any other generic action movie and feel like I just rewatched Plane. And yeah, if they decide they want to make a sequel, as long as they give me way more Mike Colter, I'm down to go to the theater and check this one out, which is the best place you can experience a movie like this. But Plane has no problem sailing through its runtime and delivering a forgettable but fun time at the movies. Plane gets a Sully score of 3 stars. So that's my review of the new Gerard Butler action thriller. It's honestly a miracle I made it through this whole thing without making a single Southwest Airlines joke. Chalk that up as a win. But let me know in the comments below if you're gonna go check this one out or if you've already seen it. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and I'll see you guys at the next video.